A very good morning to all of you students. Today we begin with the second lesson in grammar, that is interchange of voice. And I'm sure you're familiar with this because I have taught you all this last year. But still I will explain and try my best to make it even easier for you all. So I hope you all are ready. Now, voice is that form of a finite verb which shows that the action is done by the subject or the action is being done to the subject. Now, remember the clue that I gave you last year. The main thing, how you can find out whether it's finite, whether it is an active or a passive voice, how to identify it, and then it becomes very easy to change. Because if you're not able to identify it, your answer will surely be wrong. Now, first thing you have to look at, I told you all, is the action. Search for the action in the whole sentence. Okay? Now, once you get the action, see who is doing the action. So this action is done by whom? If the person doing the action is before the action, it is an active voice. If the person otherwise, the person doing the action is after the action, then it is passive voice. Okay, that's a very simple way of remembering it. Now you will understand as I explain the examples. Examples. The postman delivered the letters. Now you see, look out, I told you for the action. Now what is the action delivered? Now you ask the question, who delivered? The postman. So now this word postman, where is it? Is it before this action or after the action? Since it is before the action, it is active voice. Now, next one. The letters were delivered by the postman. Again, you look at the word were delivered over here. This is the action. Now, who delivered? The postman. Now, where is the postman? Is it here or here? It's after this action delivered. So, here. See here. That's why it is passive voice. Clear? Okay. Now, when you're aware how to identify active and passive voice, then it becomes easier to change it also. Now, let's just the same thing what I explained is given down in little more detail with more examples. When the subject does the action or is the doer of the action, the verb denoting the action is said to be in the active voice. So just what I told you. The shopkeeper sold all the cakes. Now what is the action here? Sold. Who sold? Shopkeeper. So you see this word, the person doing the action is before the action, so it is active. David drinks milk every day. What is the action? Drinks. Who drinks? David. So active voice. Paul will buy a new watch. What is the action? Will buy. Who will buy? Paul. Since it's before the action, it is active. Now these are all examples of the different tenses. This is past tense, present tense, and this is future tense. Now we go to the next. When the verb denotes an action that is received by the subject, the verb is said to be in the passive voice. Example, the cat was killed by the wolf. Now what did I tell you? Look at the action, was killed. Now who was killed? Who killed? Who did this action? Not who was killed. Who did this action? Who killed the wolf? It is after this action, so it is passive. The newspaper is read daily by us. Is read is your action. Who reads? Us. So it is passive voice. The party will be arranged next week. What is the action? Will be arranged because it's future tense. Now who will arrange? Is it given over here? No. A birthday party is given and next week is given. It's not given. Now this part is a little bit tricky when you think of passive voice because sometimes it is omitted. The person doing the action is omitted in passive voice. Now, sometimes it's omitted because it's understood. Like we were taught a lesson. Now, who will teach you a lesson? Your teacher. I was given an injection. Who will give you an injection? The doctor. So it's understood. Okay. So uh, the field was plowed. Now, who will plow the field? The farmer. So it's understood. That's why they're not saying by the farmer, by the doctor, by the teacher. Okay. So over here, they have purposely omitted here by whoever. This whoever could be anybody, maybe by your sister, your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your friends, your mother, your father, or you can just assume as by someone. Okay, so here be careful. How will you identify this? See, the way I have told you, if you go by that step by step, you will be able to identify it very easily. Okay, so what is the action here? Who did the action? Is it here? No, it should be here, but it's not there. So it is understood, or it is assumed over here by someone. Clear? So it is passive voice. While changing from active to passive voice, the following changes take place in the subject plus verb plus object direct pattern. So this is the regular pattern. Remember when I taught you inversion, this is the proper prose order, subject, verb, object. Okay, so there is a change in this. What is a change? When you want to change, this object comes here, subject comes here. Okay, if it is the other way around also, whatever is here will come here, whatever is here will come here with the verb in between. Clear? Sometimes you even have rest of sentence over here. Sometimes you have rest of sentence over here. So you are not to mix this part of the sentence with these two. So that's why I told you, you do the way I have told you all. You will be able to identify the subject and the object and not get mixed with rest of sentence. Clear? Okay, so now let's read it. The subject becomes the object becomes the subject, the tense of the verb is maintained. So you do not change the tense. Tense, I'll give you a table below, you will understand how the tense of the verb is maintained. Okay, and we go to the next page. The following examples illustrate the maintenance of the tense of the verb. So this is what I told you. We're giving you examples of the different tenses and how you keep or stick to the tense. Just changing the voice, not changing the tense. My sister irons all the clothes. Now this is simple present tense and active. Now since this is in present, here, what is here? Who irons is the action. Who irons? My sister. So this will come last. What is she ironing? All the clothes. So this will come first. So all the clothes are ironed by my sister. Simple present tense. All the clothes are ironed by my sister. The cat drinks milk. Here is your action. This is your person doing the action. So milk is drunk by the cat. See here, milk is drunk by the cat. Generally, this in passive, all this becomes the past tense. This is irons, this becomes ironed, drinks becomes drunk, and writes becomes is written. Okay, so are iron because it's plural. Milk is drunk, poetry is written by Tom. So Tom writes poetry, poetry is written by Tom. So in passive voice, generally, you will always have by, see, by in each sentence, and your action that's being done is changed into the past tense. Okay, according to which tense it is. Now, this is simple present tense, so this is the way you will change it. Now, we'll have a look at the next tense. Present progressive tense. Progressive means the action is still going on for a long time, not just happening at one time. Okay. Judy is washing the dishes. So she's washing the dishes for some time, maybe half an hour, 20 minutes. It's not just picking up the ball. You just picked up the ball and it's over. Okay. So that's why it's called progressive tense. That's why it's called progressive tense. Judy is washing the dishes. So what is the action? Washing. Who is washing? Judy. So this will come here and this will come here. So the dishes are being washed here. Are being washed by Judy. The carpenter is sawing the plank. What is the action? Is sawing. So this will be first. The plank is being sawed by the carpenter. Yes, when you have progressive tense, you will have the word being added everywhere. Clear? They are cleaning their bikes. So action is continuing. It's not happening in a second. Clear? They are, so this is your action. So this comes first. Their bikes are being cleaned by them. Their bikes are being cleaned by them. The next one, present perfect tense. When you have perfect tense, remember, you always, like in progressive tense, you will have being everywhere. In perfect tense, you will have has, had, have, all these words over here. Okay. We have filled the jug with water. See here, have, has. Okay, the jug. What is your action? Filled, have filled. Okay, who has filled? We have filled. What have they filled? The jug. So don't get, this is part of rest of the sentence. That's what I told you. As I'm teaching, you will understand. This is part of rest of the sentence, not water. You will see we have filled action. Who has filled? We. What has he filled? The jug. That's why it starts with the jug, not with water. Okay. So the jug has been filled with water. By whom? By us. Okay. Next one. Ryan has repaired this oven. So what is your action? Repaired. Who repaired? Ryan. What did he repair? This oven. So start with this. This oven has been repaired by Ryan. Okay. Solved Richard. And what has he solved? The puzzle. So this will use the sentence starts with the puzzle. The puzzle has been solved by Richard. Okay. Now we move to the next, that is past tense. Simple past tense. My father wrote out the check. What did he do? Action wrote out. Who wrote? My father. The check is what he wrote. So you start with this. The check was written. When you're taking up simple past, was written. Okay, simple past you will have was and were. Was and were. Remember, was and were. By my father. The manager consulted his clerk. Now what did he do? Consult. Who consulted? The manager. Whom did he consult? His clerk. So start with this. His clerk was consulted by the clerk was consulted by his manager. The lawyer fought all the cases. What did he do? Fought. This is the action, this is the past tense. Who fought? The lawyer. What did he fight? All the cases. So you start with this. All the cases were fought by the lawyer. This is, remember when you're having simple past tense, was and were. Was and were. Was is for singular, were is for plural. Next, past progressive tense. The teacher was explaining the rules. So this happened in the past, but she was explaining the rules for a long time. That is why it is progressive. Action happening for a long time. Okay. For some time, not just happening immediately. So what is the action was explaining? And who was explaining? Teacher. What was she explaining? The rules. So you start with the rules. The rules were being explained by the teacher. So it will progressive, you always have being. Hari was playing a game. So Hari is doing the action and this will be the starting of your sentence. A game was being played by Hari. Jane and Jude were cooking a meal. So this is the action who is doing Jane and Jude. So you have to write both. Okay. What were they cooking? A meal. So you start with a meal. A meal was being cooked by Jane and Jude. Clear? Okay. Now we go to the next one. Past perfect tense. I had filled the tub. I told you perfect always has, had, and has and have in it. Okay. I had filled the tub. So what is your action? Had filled. Who filled? I. And what did he fill the tub? So you start with the tub. The tub had been filled by me. The principal. Okay, I have omitted HE. So please write it over here. THE. The principal had declared the results of the competition. So what did he do? Had declared. Had declared. So who declared? The principal. What did he declare? The results of the competition. This is the whole thing, the results of the competition. So you start with this. The results of the competition had been declared by the principal. The pilot had flown the aircraft. So your action had flown. So you start with the aircraft. The aircraft had been flown by the pilot. Simple future tense. Seen was buying a new tire. So will buy. What is the action? Will buy. In the future, he's going to buy. So what is he going to buy? A new tie. So you start with this. A new tie will be bought by C. The goldsmiths will make. So what will you start with? A new set of jewels. This is the whole thing. What he is going to make. Okay. So a new set of jewels will be made by the goldsmiths. Frank will spend a month in London. So will spend is your action. Will spend Frank. Where is he going to? What is he going to spend? A month. What is he going to spend? A month. So you start with a month. In London is your rest of the sentence. In London is rest of the sentence. So you start with a month. So a month, then your action will be spent in London by Frank. Okay. Next one. Arti will a future perfect tense. Arti will have cleaned the cupboard. So will have cleaned. This is your whole verb. Who will clean? Arti. So you start with the cupboard. The cupboard will have, I told you perfect tense always has, have, had. The cupboard will have been cleaned by Arti. My friend will have filled the form. So what do you start with? The form will have been filled. Will have been, just add been over here. Okay, by my friend. See, this is very easy. You just have to will have been cleaned, will have been filled, will have been signed. Okay, the report will have been signed by the manager. So now next one is interrogative sentences. While changing from active to passive voice in interrogative sentences, note the following changes to be made. Who changes to by whom? The tense of the verb is maintained. Now, when you have a sentence starting with who, you should always remember it starts with by whom. Okay? These dishes. So, here you just see what is the action wash and what is being washed, these dishes, and you are the person doing the action. So, you will come last. So, it will start with these dishes. These will, but you put your question over here because it is a question. So the question word remains the same. Just copy this first question word down as it is. Then you change as you change the other words. Like I told you, look at your action, then see who's doing your action and on whom the action is being done. So will these dishes, this is on whom the action is being done, be washed action by you. Clear? Who was doing the action? You. So that's why it comes last. And then your question mark. Whose poem shall I read first? Again here you will just write the question word as it is. Whose poem, who, whose poem shall I read first? So here what they have done is the poem and the action is here. Okay, the action is here, read. But they have put who is reading here? I. Okay, this is a little confusing, so listen properly. Who is doing the action? I. And what is he reading? The poem. Who is doing the action? I. What is he reading? The poem. Here, so here you have to put this action in between this and I. Okay, clear? So you write whose poem will be read first by me. So here I becomes me and poem remains the same as it is. And you have your action in between. You have your action in between. Okay? Clear? Okay. Now we go to the next page. I don't know what is happening today with this. It's just going right down. I will pause and maybe I think we just have one more. I will may make another video with that part if it's not happening. Okay. So kindly just bear with me.